Attraction isn't always loud. It doesn't always come with big declarations or obvious signs. In fact, one of the most powerful indicators that a man is truly into you is something far more subtle, something most people completely overlook. The one move he makes is this: he consistently leans into your world. Not physically, but emotionally and attentively. He listens a little more closely, remembers small details you mention, and finds ways to stay connected, even when there's no obvious reason to. This matters because real interest isn't about impressing you once, it's about showing up again and again in small, meaningful ways. When a man is into you, he doesn't just react to you, he invests in you. Pay attention to where his energy goes. Because attraction isn't proven by words. It's revealed through consistent, intentional effort that quietly brings you closer together. Attraction rarely begins with bold statements or obvious confessions. Instead, it often reveals itself through behavior, through the small, almost unnoticeable ways someone shows up around you. Many people make the mistake of focusing only on what is said, waiting for clear verbal confirmation. But the truth is, words can be controlled, filtered, and even misleading at times. Behavior, on the other hand, is much harder to fake consistently. When someone is genuinely interested in you, their actions begin to align in subtle but meaningful ways. They might position themselves closer to you in a group setting, not in an intrusive way, but in a way that naturally brings them into your space. Their body language becomes more open, more engaged. They maintain eye contact a little longer, not in a forced manner, but because their attention is genuinely captured. You'll also notice a shift in how they respond to you. It's not just about replying, it's about how they reply. There's a level of attentiveness, a sense that they are not just hearing you, but actually listening. They pick up on details, respond thoughtfully, and engage in a way that shows presence. This kind of behavior signals that their focus isn't scattered, it's directed toward you. Another important aspect is consistency. Anyone can act interested for a moment, especially in a situation that encourages it. But when attraction is real, those behaviors repeat themselves over time. It's in the way they consistently find reasons to talk to you, to be around you, or to check in. Not in an overwhelming or excessive way, but in a steady, natural rhythm that reflects genuine curiosity and interest. It's also important to understand that these behaviors are often unconscious. A person who is truly drawn to you doesn't need to overthink every move. Their actions flow more naturally because they are driven by genuine emotion rather than strategy. That's why these subtle signals are so powerful. They come from a place that is difficult to manufacture. Learning to recognize these behaviors allows you to move beyond confusion and mixed signals. Instead of getting caught up in analyzing every word, you begin to observe patterns. You start asking better questions. Is he present? Is he consistent? Does his behavior show effort? Attraction, in its most authentic form, is quiet but persistent. It doesn't always announce itself loudly, but it leaves a trail through actions. When you shift your focus from words to behavior, you begin to see things more clearly, and that clarity gives you the confidence to respond in a way that truly serves you. What truly sets genuine interest apart from casual attention is not how big the actions are, but how intentional they feel. Subtle actions, those small, almost invisible behaviors, often carry far more meaning than grand gestures. Anyone can plan something impressive once, but it takes real emotional investment to show up in consistent, thoughtful ways that aren't designed to impress, but to connect. When someone is emotionally invested, their actions begin to reflect a deeper level of awareness. They start noticing things about you that others might miss. It could be the way you react to certain topics, your preferences, your routines, or even the little things you mention in passing. And the key difference is, they remember. Not because they're trying to score points, but because they genuinely care enough to pay attention. These subtle actions also show up in how they prioritize you, not in a dramatic, life-altering way, but in small decisions. They might adjust their schedule slightly to spend time with you, reply with a bit more thought and intention, or check in when something reminds them of you. These moments might seem minor on the surface, but they reveal something important. You are on their mind even when you're not directly in front of them. Another powerful indicator of emotional investment is presence. When they're with you, they're not distracted or half engaged. They're tuned in. Their focus isn't divided, and you can feel that they are genuinely there in the moment with you. This kind of presence is subtle, but it's incredibly telling. It shows that they value the interaction, not just as something to pass time, but as something meaningful. There's also a level of ease in their behavior. They're not trying too hard or performing for your approval. Instead, their actions feel natural, consistent, and unforced. This is important because real investment doesn't need to announce itself loudly. It quietly reveals itself through reliability and authenticity. It's easy to overlook these subtle signs because they don't come with dramatic flair, but that's exactly why they matter. Grand gestures can sometimes be about creating an impression, while subtle actions are about maintaining a connection. They are sustainable, repeatable, and rooted in genuine feeling. When you start paying attention to these small behaviors, you begin to see a clearer picture of someone's intentions. You're no longer relying on what they say they feel. You're observing how they show it. And in doing so, you gain a deeper understanding of whether their interest is surface level or something more meaningful. Emotional investment doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. In fact, its quiet nature is what makes it real. It's easy to be impressed by intensity. Big gestures, long conversations, sudden bursts of attention, they can feel exciting and convincing in the moment. But intensity is often temporary. It can rise quickly and fade just as fast. What truly defines genuine interest is not how strong something feels at the start, but how consistently it shows up over time. Consistency is what turns attraction into something real and reliable. It's the difference between someone who shows up when it's convenient and someone who shows up because they genuinely want to. Anyone can create a moment of excitement, but not everyone can maintain steady effort without being prompted or reminded. When someone is truly into you, their behavior doesn't feel unpredictable or confusing. You don't find yourself constantly questioning where you stand or why their energy suddenly changed. Instead, there's a sense of stability in how they interact with you. They don't disappear and reappear without explanation. They don't swing between being highly engaged one day and completely distant the next. Their presence feels steady, even if it's not overwhelming. This kind of consistency builds trust, not through promises, but through repeated actions. You begin to notice that they follow through on what they say. If they mention calling, they call. If they express interest in seeing you, they make it happen. These might seem like simple things, but they create a foundation of reliability that is essential for any meaningful connection. Another important aspect of consistency is emotional availability. It's not just about being physically present or sending messages regularly. It's about showing the same level of care and attention over time. You don't feel like you have to earn their interest again and again. Instead, their investment feels stable, like it's already there and continuing to grow. On the other hand, can sometimes be misleading. It can feel like a strong connection, but without consistency, it often leads to confusion. You might find yourself holding on to those intense moments, hoping they'll return, while ignoring the gaps in between. This creates an emotional imbalance where you're reacting to peaks rather than evaluating the overall pattern. When you shift your focus to consistency, you start to see things more clearly. You stop being swayed by occasional high points and begin to evaluate the full picture. Is this person showing up regularly? Are their actions aligned over time? Do they make an effort even when it's not exciting or new? Consistency doesn't always feel dramatic, but that's exactly why it matters. It's dependable, it's sustainable, and most importantly, it reflects genuine intention. Because when someone truly values you, they don't just show it once, they show it again and again in ways that build something real rather than something temporary. Attention is one of the most powerful currencies in human connection, and where someone chooses to place it tells you everything you need to know about their level of interest. It's easy to say the right things or create a good impression for a short period of time, but sustained, focused attention is much harder to fake. That's why it becomes one of the clearest and most reliable signals of genuine attraction. When someone is truly into you, their attention doesn't feel scattered or divided. It feels intentional. In a world full of distractions, phones, notifications, endless options, choosing to focus on one person is a meaningful act. It shows priority. It shows interest. And most importantly, it shows that being present with you matters to them. This kind of attention shows up in subtle but important ways. It's in how they listen when you speak, not just waiting for their turn to talk, but actually absorbing what you're saying. They respond in a way that reflects understanding, not just acknowledgement. You don't feel like you're repeating yourself or competing for their focus. Instead, you feel heard, and that feeling is incredibly significant. You'll also notice that their attention extends beyond the moment. It's not limited to when you're physically together. They remember things you've shared before, bring them up later, and show that your words stayed with them. This creates a sense of continuity in the connection, where interactions don't feel isolated, but rather part of an ongoing story. Another key aspect is how naturally their attention returns to you. They don't need constant reminders or effort from your side to stay engaged. Whether it's reaching out, checking in, or simply finding reasons to interact, their focus seems to come back to you without force. This isn't about frequency alone, it's about intention. Even small moments of attention can carry a lot of meaning when they are genuine. It's also important to recognize what real attention does not look like. It's not inconsistent bursts of interest followed by long periods of absence. It's not distracted conversations where you feel like an afterthought. And it's not empty engagement that lacks depth or presence. True attention has a quality to it. It feels grounded, steady, and real. When you begin to value attention as a key indicator, you stop overanalyzing mixed signals. Instead, you observe where energy is being invested, because attention requires choice. And when someone consistently chooses to give theirs to you, it reveals something powerful. You matter to them. Attention is more than just focus. It's a reflection of priority. And when someone makes you a priority through their actions, not just their words, it becomes one of the clearest signs that their interest is genuine and meaningful. There's a common misconception that effort has to be big, dramatic, or highly visible to mean something. But in reality, it's often the smallest efforts that reveal the deepest intentions. Grand gestures can be planned, timed, and even performed for effect. Small efforts, on the other hand, are harder to fake because they happen in the in-between moments when there's no spotlight, no pressure, and no immediate reward. When someone is genuinely interested in you, they don't wait for perfect opportunities to show it. Instead, they take small, consistent actions that demonstrate care and consideration. It might be as simple as checking in during your day, remembering something important to you, or making a slight adjustment in their routine to spend time with you. These actions may seem minor on their own, but together they create a pattern that speaks volumes. What makes these small efforts so powerful is the intention behind them. They show that the person is thinking about you beyond just the obvious moments. You're not only on their mind when it's convenient or when they're bored, you're part of their everyday awareness. That kind of presence doesn't come from surface-level interest. It comes from a deeper level of emotional engagement. Another important aspect is that these efforts are often proactive. You don't feel like you have to chase, remind, or initiate everything. They meet you halfway, and sometimes even go a step further. This balance is crucial because it creates a sense of mutual investment. You're not carrying the connection on your own. It's being built by both people, one small action at a time. Small efforts also build trust over time. They show reliability. When someone consistently follows through in little ways, it reassures you that their interest isn't temporary or conditional. It's steady. And that steadiness creates emotional safety, which is essential for any meaningful connection to grow. It's also worth noting that small efforts often reflect authenticity. They're not about impressing you, they're about connecting with you. There's no need for perfection or performance. Instead, there's a natural flow to their actions, as if showing up for you is something they genuinely want to do, not something they feel obligated to do. Many people overlook these signs because they're expecting something bigger, something more obvious. But in doing so, they miss the very things that matter most. Because real intention isn't always loud. It's consistent, thoughtful, and quietly present. When you start to recognize the value of small efforts, your perspective shifts. You stop chasing intensity and start appreciating consistency. You begin to see that it's not about how much someone does all at once, but how often they choose to show up in meaningful ways. And in the end, those small efforts are what builds something real, because they reflect a choice being made again and again, the choice to invest in you. There's a tendency to associate love and attraction with big, memorable moments, the kind that look impressive from the outside. Grand gestures, elaborate plans, dramatic expressions of affection. And while those things can feel exciting, they don't always reflect what truly sustains a meaningful connection. What matters far more is emotional presence, the ability to be genuinely there with someone in a way that feels real, attentive, and engaged. Emotional presence is subtle, but it's powerful. It's not about what someone does for you, but how they are with you. When a person is emotionally present, you can feel it almost immediately. There's a sense of focus, a calm attentiveness that makes the interaction feel grounded. They're not distracted, not rushing, not halfway somewhere else. In that moment, their attention is fully with you. This kind of presence creates a deeper level of connection because it goes beyond surface level interaction. You're not just exchanging words, you're sharing an experience. There's a quality to the conversation that feels more meaningful, more engaged. You feel understood, not just heard. And that feeling is something no grand gesture can replace. Another important aspect of emotional presence is responsiveness. It's not just about being physically there, but about being emotionally available. When you express something, whether it's a thought, a feeling, or even a concern, they respond in a way that shows they're truly taking it in. They don't dismiss, deflect, or minimize. Instead, they engage with what you're saying in a thoughtful and respectful way. What makes this so significant is that it builds emotional safety. You begin to feel comfortable being yourself without the need to filter or perform. You don't have to compete for attention or wonder if you're being understood. There's a sense of ease that comes from knowing the other person is genuinely present with you. In contrast, grand gestures can sometimes create a false sense of connection. They can be exciting, but they're often temporary. Without emotional presence, those moments don't have a strong foundation to stand on. They may impress you in the moment, but they don't necessarily make you feel seen or valued in a lasting way. Emotional presence, on the other hand, is consistent and reliable. It shows up in everyday interactions, not just special occasions. It's in the way they listen, the way they respond, and the way they make you feel when you're with them. It doesn't need to be loud or dramatic to be meaningful. It simply needs to be real. When you start to prioritize emotional presence over grand gestures, your understanding of connection shifts. You begin to value depth over display, substance over style. And in doing so, you become better at recognizing what truly matters. Because real attraction isn't just about being impressed, it's about feeling genuinely connected in a way that lasts. At the end of the day, attraction is not something you have to chase, decode endlessly, or second guess when you understand what to truly look for. It's not hidden in perfect words or dramatic moments. It's revealed through patterns of behavior that repeat over time. When a man is genuinely into you, it shows in how he consistently shows up, where he places his attention, the small efforts he makes, and the emotional presence he brings into your interactions. The mistake many people make is focusing on intensity instead of consistency, on grand gestures instead of genuine connection. But real interest doesn't need to prove itself loudly. It proves itself quietly through reliability and intention. It's not about what happens once, it's about what happens again and again. When you shift your focus to these subtle but powerful indicators, everything becomes clearer. You stop guessing and start observing. You stop holding on to potential and start recognizing reality. Because the truth is simple. When someone truly values you, you won't have to convince yourself of their interest. You'll be able to see it, feel it, and trust it through the way they consistently choose you.